Joining us now, Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. He was one of the Democrats at that press conference introducing what is called the No Political Enemies Act. Senator, really good to have you. Do you see this as a free speech issue or an employment issue?
Oh, I see this as a free speech issue. What we're witnessing right now is a gross violation of the First Amendment. I mean, it's very clear under the First Amendment you can't use government power to punish people you disagree with. And yet, after this tragedy of Charlie Kirk's murder, you have Donald Trump trying to weaponize that tragedy to crack down on his political enemies, not to bring the country together and say political violence is unacceptable regardless of its source. He is using this now to go after his political opposition. That is a violation of the First Amendment. That's why we advanced this proposal.
The FCC is getting involved. Obviously, we've heard Brandon Carr say this is just the beginning. Do you have any oversight? Is there any oversight besides the president on the FCC?
Well, I serve on the Appropriations Committee, and we provide some of the funding for the FCC. This will become an issue in that process because Brandon Carr clearly crossed the line when he he threatened Disney and ABC that if they didn't get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, there would be consequences, meaning that the government could take action, could be revoking licenses, it could be blocking mergers. I mean, that is a textbook case of a violation of the First Amendment and the government abuse of power.
Your colleague, Senator Murphy, called this a red alert moment. Some others have said this feels like something akin to the Red Scare of the 1950s. Do you think that's where we are?
I do, and this has been building really from day one. I mean, remember, Donald Trump said he was a believer in the First Amendment, but this administration has locked up students for exercising their First Amendment rights. This administration has gone after law firms, they've gone after universities, they've gone after media outlets whose coverage that they don't like. Another very clear example of abuse of power. And now we see an acceleration of this, where they just come out and announce to the world that they're going to crack down on organizations and individuals they disagree with. That is what dictators do. You know, this is why we fought the American Revolution, because we had a king in England who was locking people up in England and here in the United States because they disagreed with them and voiced dissent. So we're sending a message. We won't be silenced, but we also need to make sure others stand up and resist this, because those who cave in, those like ABC who cave in, what they do is give the bully an even bigger appetite. And when they appease the bully, they put all of us at risk.
Let me play the majority leader, Senator Thune, being asked about this today.
Should the FCC be encouraging stations to take down shows that the administration disagrees with?
Well, my preference would always be let the companies make economic market decisions. And, you know, obviously, if they've got shows that are losing money and that don't have an audience, I think they'll come to that conclusion.
Do you think it's appropriate for Brendan Carr to threaten the companies if they didn't take action?
Find you guys.
All right. So in addition to this, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel, there is the money that CBS gave the administration, gave Donald Trump, the money that ABC gave. There is the money and the agreements made by law firms in order to keep their security clearances. There were the disputes and then the agreements with universities like Harvard and Columbia to get their funding back. Republicans have called this a correction, saying that these institutions became much too liberal, that media became much too liberal, that it was only representing a small portion of the population. Do you see this in any way as a correction or justified in that sense?
No, Katie, it's never justified to use government power to crack down on political viewpoints that you disagree with. I mean, that is just barred by the First Amendment. And some of those institutions are standing up, at least so far. I mean, Harvard has stayed in the litigation. But I do want to repeat that those who cave, those who appease this, really do put the rights of the rest of us at risk. I understand the pressure they're under, but the way bullies operate is they get people picked off one by one until there's nobody left to stand up for anybody else who's left. This is a classic authoritarian strategy. So we all need to stand together, and that's why Senator Murphy and I and others put forward this proposal. But really, the bottom line here is all of us, as citizens of this country, need to stand up to protect our basic freedoms, and the First Amendment is front and center.
Do you have any Republican interest in signing on to that?
Well, we just heard the interview with Senator Thune, who looked like he wanted to avoid the fundamental question. Obviously, businesses can make their own decisions, but the issue here is when the government puts its thumb on those businesses to influence their decisions, to get them to fire people that President Trump doesn't like or voices that he disagrees with. So you would think this was an American value, a universal value, but so far Republicans in Congress, they have put Donald Trump over the Constitution, and they're putting Donald Trump over the First Amendment and other constitutional rights.
Senator Van Hollen, thank you very much for joining us.